Welcome back to Collecting Rush. And of course, I'm Rush. Before I get into what this video is about, let me just say to everyone that has watched, liked, and commented on all my past videos, thank you. I started this channel up a little over 2 months ago, just showcasing off my collection that everyone's been requesting of me for years. And it's been in those years that I've been trying to figure out exactly how I want to show off the collection, learning how to make videos, editing them, and then showcasing everything the way that I wanted to. And so, before I go into showing off the rest of my collection, which, trust me, there's more, I want to have fun with this channel and do other things with it as well. This channel just can't be about showing off my collection. So, in that regards, I'm going to try something new with this video. And don't worry, I'm not going to become a toy reviewer. With where I live, I'm usually the last one that gets the figures in. And there are already so many great YouTubers out there that do toy reviews that I want to try something different. Something else I enjoy doing. So if you've seen any of my posts in the different Facebook groups or on my Instagram page, I enjoy making the wish lists that I like to think are more realistic. What sets these wish lists apart from others that you may see? Well, I'm known for having a very extensive knowledge of comics, so I put a lot of thought into making all these different types of lists that I think these characters have a better chance of actually getting made. Not just because they're cool and they look amazing, but I like to think about what we already have and use that to help predict of what we will get in the future. So I've put together these, let's call them rush lists. Trademark pending. I create these rush lists by following a list of self-imposed rules and restrictions for the character selection. Those rules are as follows. Characters must have a realistic chance of being made. Balance the wave out between popular characters with lesser known characters without getting too obscure. Make the wave evenly balanced by using existing body molds for new characters to offset unique molds needed for others to fall within budget requirements. And finally, use characters that don't have existing figures, unless the characters chosen can use a different costume or the existing figure is in need for a major update due to age. And the first rush list video would only make sense if I made it about the Sublime Marvel Legends that Hasbro recently announced, the Iron Man Retro Card Wave. And my first choice for the Iron Man Retro Card, the Prometheum armor from Heroes Reborn. The Prometheum armor is an oddity in the history of the Iron Man armors. The armor only existed for a year in the comics and wasn't even in the main Marvel 616 continuity, but in Pocket Dimension that exists as Counter-Earth. But since that technically still is part of the 616, it's probably why the armor shows up in any comics-themed Hall of Armor images, while other reality armors, like the one from the Ultimate Universe, does not. The Prometheum armor being designed by Jim Lee has probably helped its long-standing 28-year popularity, with toy versions being produced in both the Toy Biz and Hasbro eras. An updated figure is rumored to be announced this year, so that is what leads this armor to be the first choice on my list. Iron Man Retro Card pick number 2, the Mandarin. First appearing in Tales of Suspense number 50 in 1964, the Mandarin has had many different looks during his 6-year journey of becoming recognized as Iron Man's biggest villain. In that time, though, many of those looks have now become what many may consider inappropriate or controversial. Although the Mandarin has had looks spanning across multiple mediums, including comics, television, games, and movies, the two costumes I've narrowed down for this list include the look from his 1994 Iron Man animated series and his comic armored look. The animated series look was chosen because we've already had a toy of it, and it's from the toy line this retro card is designed from. The armored costume could easily use the existing body from the Strife figure. Just a few modifications and you can have the costume the Mandarin wore during the Acts of Vengeance crossover. That storyline had Marvel switching up the hero-villain pairings, which moved the Mandarin from fighting the Avengers to dealing with the X-Men. This story also introduced the new Lady Mandarin, aka Psylocke, and a look we just received in Legends form. But even though they would look great together in display, my ultimate choice goes to the animated series look and officially becomes the second figure chosen for this list. Choice number 3 for the Iron Man Retro card, the black and gold armor, Model 42. With the upcoming Iron Man Retro Carded Wave giving us updated figures of the Model 1 Gold version, the Model 9, and the Model 20, it seems Hasbro is still working on giving us updated and accurate versions of any armor models that have been previously made. One of those remaining armors is the Marvel Now Model 42 armor, released in the MCU Hulkbuster wave back in 2015. This version of the armor was just a repaint of the MCU Mark IV armor, which does not size accurately with the other comic armors. So it only makes sense that Hasbro would want to update this armor as well, and why it's pick number 3 for this list. Choice number 4 for the Iron Man Retro card, Blizzard from the animated series. While part of my self-imposed guidelines for my list include always trying to use characters we have never received before, allowances can be made for older figures newer collectors may have missed out on. The first case of that on this list is Blizzard, who was released previously in the already mentioned MCU Hulkbuster wave 9 years ago. Even though he has had many costumes in the comics, and currently even in Inhuman, his animated look would please many on this card and not require much in terms of new molding to lower budget costs for the wave. With just a new head sculpt and a few add-ons, a new Blizzard could be made on any body mold, and therefore an easy inclusion for any wave. And that's why Blizzard is pick number 4 for my list. Choice number 5 for the Iron Man Retro card, the warrior known as Sentry. With the required Iron Man figures already discussed, I can finally talk about new characters that have yet to receive the Legends treatment. I believe the character of Sentry would be perfect for the Iron Man Retro card line. First appearing in ForceWorks number 1, 1994, the comic which designs for the anime series were inspired by, the Sentry of course was worked into that lineup, albeit a more toned-down version compared to the comics. That version being an alien artificial being bred as a warrior infused with the accumulate knowledge and skills of 100 of the strongest and most able survivors of his race, and given a 100-year lifespan. Although he could be considered a deep cut to many, Sentry is my most desired figure for this line and pick number 5 for this list. Choice number 6 for the Iron Man Retro card, Ghost. First appearing in Iron Man number 219, 1987, the Ghost has been a long-standing member of Iron Man's Rogues Gallery and has been included in every version of media Iron Man has had, from comics, video games, every animated series, as well as a version in the MCU. And just like Blizzard, we have received Ghost previously in Legends form, but that figure is even harder to come by, only being released in the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Thunderbolts box set from 2013. With that figure being 10 years old and not having its more desired first appearance costume, a new Ghost would be highly desired and therefore an easy inclusion as pick number 6 for this list. And just like Blizzard, a few new overlays on an existing body could help bring this figure to life. Choice number 7 for the Iron Man Retro card, the Aquatic Avenger known as Stingray. First appearing in Tales to Astonish, number 95 from 1967, Stingray is not a character that many would think about when it came to an Iron Man dedicated wave. But as not only being a fellow Avenger, Stingray played a pivotal role in the Armor Wars storyline, both in the comics as well as the 1994 animated series. And while Stingray may not top any list for most wanted Marvel Legends, Stingray in plastic form would be an awesome looking figure. Being able to utilize some parts from the Banshee figure to attach his cape, Stingray in either his classic look or modern costume would be a welcome addition to Legends line, and pick number 7 for my list. Choice number 8 for the Iron Man Retro card, the fiery villain known as Firebrand. First appearing in Iron Man number 27, 1970, Firebrand may be another deep cut for many, as he only appeared once in the animated series, and only a few times in the comics before being one of the 17 villains killed by the Scourge of the Underworld inside the bar with no name. He was briefly brought back to life by the Hand before again being killed by the Punisher. And although Firebrand would be an easy figure, just like Blizzard, not needing a new body sculpt, being a lesser known character, not to mention being a radical activist, might limit the appeal to make him. I would still love to add a new character to collection, so Firebrand is pick number 8 for this list. Choice number 9 for the Iron Man Retro card, Iron Man Armor Model 15 from The Crossing. The Model 15 armor first appeared in Iron Man number 319, 1995. For my last hero choice, I wanted to go with an armor that we haven't gotten before, and Model 15 is memorable as the armor Tony was wearing when he went bad,
Well, kind of. Being revealed as a secret agent of Kang, Iron Man would end up killing 2 allies before being stopped by his younger self, who would later replace him after the older Tony sacrificed himself. All of this would later be retconned after the events of Onslaught and Heroes Reborn. Regular Tony was back, but Model 15 was still cool armor and pick number 9 for this list. And finally, choice number 10 for the Iron Man Retro card, Hypnotia. My last pick for this list would of course have to be the character that was created for the 1994 animated series, Hypnotia. Based partially off of the character Vertigo, who had been appearing in the X-Men animated series around the same time, Hypnotia was the lone female member of the Mandarin's villains group. Although she was created for the animated series, she would make the jump to the comics with limited appearances. She never received a figure in the original line, but just like the VHS Morph, was memorable enough to show and would be welcomed to the retro line. And Hypnotia finishes off this list as pick number 10. Just when you thought I was finished, I have one last figure to throw in as a Rush List wildcard. The wildcard being a character I want to add, but unfortunately does not follow the rules and restrictions I have for the list. The wildcard entrant for this list is the energy being known as a Centurion. If Firebrand was a deep cut selection, then Centurion would be an even deeper cut. But even though he only made one appearance in the animated series, I still loved the look of the character and the costume. Although it's also that costume that prevents him from making this list. That costume design, primarily the underwear that connects to a back piece that then connects to a shoulder covering chest plate with hood, it would make any possible articulation almost non-existent. So although Centurion has a cool design on paper, the near impossible chance of it being made in a plastic form keeps Centurion only as a wildcard pick.
So that brings us to the end of my very first Rush List video. Is this a video concept that you enjoyed watching? And do you want to see me make more of these? Let me know in the comments below, because let's all be honest, the newest episodes of X-Men 97 are just screaming for more characters to be added to that line. And that video may already be in the works. But until that next video, as always, leave your comments below, subscribe to this page, and make sure you check out my Instagram page, collecting_rush, for any updates I may have. But until that next video, I'm Rush.